conservative in Hollywood? It's so rare, I had to see it for myself. Amanda Head joins me for part one of my conversation with the Hollywood conservative. All right, everyone, welcome to Pure Hollywood. I am with the Amanda Head, conservative columnist, former top 40 music artist, War Eagle for life, founder of the Hollywood Conservative. She is literally from Hoover to Hollywood, frequent guest of Fox News and others, the 5'4" firecracker Amanda Head. How's it going?
Very well, especially considering you gave me 2 extra inches.
Seriously? I thought I got that one down.
You must have my old driver's license. It's so funny you bring that up. I had to have my driver's license renewed. I still have an Alabama driver's license, FYI. I refused to switch over to Commie, California and get a California driver's license. But anyway, I had to get my license renewed. And since the previous time that I had had it renewed, I had a startling revelation that I'm actually 5'2" and not 5'4". For some reason, and I'm like partially dyslexic with numbers, so I don't know if it was the fact that it was an even number or what, but when my boyfriend and I started dating, he asked me how tall I was, because he was like, I love your petite size, and he's like, how tall are you? I said, I'm 5'4". He's like, no, you're not. I'm like, yes, I am. I swear I am.
I don't know what I'm more amazed about, the fact that you've held on to the Alabama, because I'm from Tennessee, I held on to that for a while, or the fact that when I Google you, one of the first things that come up is 5'4". I have no idea.
I don't care.
What is more weird about that?
I put a lot on the internet, but that's one that I'll just kind of let go.
It's fake news. It's all fake news. Well, it was really interesting for me when I did check out your website that you're from Hoover to Hollywood, because I actually went to school in Birmingham, Alabama at Stanford University, and I live in Hollywood. So I think I know a little bit, at least about you and where your head comes from, in small parts. But for people that may not know you, haven't listened to you in the past, I've got a few questions that I think will be a good get-to-know Amanda time if you're down for it.
All right.
All right, so this is really important. If you're trapped on a desert island, which would you rather have, okay? Two possible choices. Kale or fried okra?
Fried okra, duh.
Easy. Prius or a Silverado?
Prius or what?
Prius or a Silverado?
Silverado, for sure.
Good. They get more difficult as we go on.
Priuses are for commies.
Yeah, exactly. Someone yelling, I stand with her constantly, or Roll Tide?
Ooh. That actually shifted for me. Prior to going into politics, it would have been Roll Tide. I've always said growing up that I could never date a liberal or a Bama fan. But I think that as far as my aversion for the two, liberals have moved into first spot. So I'm with her. I think grates on my nerves more.
That would definitely be nails on a chalkboard. All right, would you rather have a permanent soundtrack of 2017 Katy Perry or Green Day American Idiot?
Oh, gosh.
Get me off that island.
I guess Katy Perry.
That's a tough one.
I don't really like either of them, but whatever.
A radical feminist or a radical male feminist?
Wait, which would I rather be stuck on the island with?
Yeah, if you had to pick
Probably
one.
a radical male feminist, because I feel like I could maybe convince them, like I could maybe bring them back to sanity.
Okay.
Women tend to be like really, really stuck in their ways.
Oh, I feel like the soy boy would be completely worthless, but that's just me. All right, so would you rather stay on the island or get on a rescue boat with Bill Clinton?
Rescue boat with Bill Clinton. I could push him overboard. It's fine.
Okay. What if it was Nick Saban? Would it be a difference?
No, I'll take Nick Saban. I mean, he's smaller than me, so we're good.
Oh, yeah, he's probably 5'1". I got to check that one up on Google, too.
He's a little bitty man.
Yeah, I think I could have guessed at least all except the male feminist or the radical feminist. So I do understand the Hoover values, the Birmingham South, all that good stuff, and being in Hollywood. I know how incredibly frustrating it is, and I'm so glad for all the success you've had with the conservative, the Hollywood conservative, even though it kind of seems like an oxymoron, since I rarely see any conservatives in Hollywood. But for those people that have not checked it out, why did you get into it? What's been going on, and what are the plans for the future?
So it was kind of the perfect storm for me. As you said in the intro, I was in the music industry for a very long time. I did my first musical when I was like 9. And I'd been singing ever since. I moved out to LA after graduating from Auburn in 2006. Dove right into the music field. At the point at which I left the music industry, which was January of 2016, I was in a pop duo with another girl. We had two songs that hit the Billboard Mainstream Top 40, and we toured the country. We opened up for Future at South by Southwest. So we had a very tangible amount of success, such that I was able to reconcile in my heart and my head being able to leave the industry and feeling like I didn't leave anything on the table. I felt like I was satisfied with how far I had come in the music industry. And then a couple other extenuating circumstances, one being the people who I worked with on the project were just really crappy people. And a lot of the people who I encountered in the music industry, it's interesting, you hear about how, when you first move to Hollywood and you start witnessing how cruddy people's character is in Hollywood, it's ironic because it's pretty mild compared to the monsters that you come into contact with once you achieve success. That's when the real monsters come out, because then they see a certain level of success that they can gain on. And so once you have achieved a certain level of success, that's when you really start seeing the really awful people, because they want to leech off of you and things like that. So last January, it was the beginning of an election year. We were entering into primary season a few months after that. And I've always been a lifelong conservative. I think I went through a little phase in college where I was like, why am I a Christian? Why am I conservative? Why do I believe these things? And I read a lot of books. Read a lot of books on apologetics and politics, and basically ended up exactly where I started. So being a conservative in Hollywood, under all of these music contracts, there were three things that we couldn't talk about. As a female pop artist, you can't talk about boyfriends. They don't want to hear about your boyfriend. You can't talk about religion, and you can't talk about politics. So after 9 years of not being able to speak my mind in a professional setting, I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. My nickname is the Mouth of the South, because it is very, very hard for me to keep my mouth shut when I disagree with someone.
That must be brutal then.
Yeah. So I left it, but it's ironic because when I switched over into this career, I guess I did abide by the gag order in professional settings, but apparently I didn't in my personal life, because I expected all of my friends, when I switched from music to politics, I expected all of them to just be completely shocked. And when I told them, they were like, oh yeah, that's perfect for you. Duh. So apparently I wasn't that quiet about it when I was outside of the music world. But, it felt like it was the right time in my life to make a career move. And I felt like, this sounds so cliche, but I felt like my singing voice could be better used speaking for my, our generation as millennials. Millennials, I'm on the older end of millennials, but for the younger end of millennials, they're just complete idiots. They have no idea what's going on in the world. 41% of them think that socialism is a good idea. And they all think that conservatives are old, rich, white dudes. So I'm not old, not yet anyway. I'm certainly not rich, and I'm not a dude. So, I wanted to shift the paradigm and shift the perception of what conservatives are. And I felt like going into, talk radio and things like that would be the best way to do it. And I claimed the domain, The Hollywood Conservative, because I figured it wasn't taken, and I was right.
You're right.
And it started from there. It started with a radio show, and then it moved into doing some writing, and then a spokesperson gig, and now it's writing, radio, and TV too. So
awesome. Yeah, I really encourage everyone to go check it out. Follow all your Twitter and Instagram handles are fantastic. And I don't know if you ran into this too, because I went to 3 universities in the Southeast: University of Florida, University of Georgia, and Stanford University in Birmingham. And Stanford, because it's a private Christian university, it was just a stark difference between, I'm sure, what it was like at Auburn, where every class I took at University of Georgia and Florida was just straight up propaganda indoctrination. Like, it's hard to even explain it to people unless you go into it. Like, I took English 101 English. We only studied female African-American writers for the entire semester. When I took broadcast communications, we had to watch a documentary, and they said, don't look at this through a political lens. The whole documentary was about how Fox News was evil and how it's just propaganda and it's all fake. And it was like, just look at it for like broadcast purposes. I'm like, what? Just like every single class. It was insane.
It's funny, looking back on my career at Auburn, I never felt impressed upon by my professors regarding one ideology or the other. In fact, I was in the business school after I changed my major from music. Now, music was a completely different story. All of my professors, although I never really got any indication about their political leanings, but I imagine they all were probably liberals. My business
Huh.
professors, a lot of them were kind of like good old boys. So I think that they possibly were conservative. But the point is I never really knew one way or the other, which I think is extremely valuable and speaks to the climate and the culture at Auburn, which I think has pretty much remained the same. But
Oh,
I recently reconnected with one of my voice coaches from Auburn, and she's been retired 4 years now, and she said that there are a lot of liberal professors, and she said 90% of the ones that I came into contact were liberal. But I said that's interesting because I never knew that. Like I never realized that at Auburn. So I was
that's
very
great.
fortunate. Yeah, I was very fortunate to have that experience in higher learning. So
I had professors after Obama won the election that literally would do like a standing ovation in class, how he's proud of everybody. Like it was absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I'm glad there's still some universities that at least, like you said, they didn't impress it, even though that was their belief, which is totally fine. Everyone can vote any way they want or whatever. But no, that was great. And I love what you said too about starting to question those things like Christianity, why I'm voting this certain way, because I always encourage people that these are great opportunities when that happens. You can fall back and reinforce why you believe that. You can know not just walking out in faith or this feels right to do this, but know why. And I had that kind of revelation like 2 years ago too, when we started to get into the political cycle and living in LA. I literally thought like maybe 2 + 2 = 5, and I've just been wrong my entire life. And
yeah,
when I dug back into it,
the whys are the most important part. It's not when did you become a conservative, who influenced you. It is truly the why. And there are many, many reasons why I'm conservative, but at the end of the day, when someone says, why are you conservative? My general answer is so that you can be liberal. Because liberals take the risks, conservatives hold down the shop. So quite literally, in a broader sense, the reason that we have conservatives is so that people can be liberal, because we're the ones who clean up the mess.
no, it is very true. And it's almost like I compare it to parenting, where they say that conservatives don't love, but sometimes the hardest thing to do is to tell your child no, or take this away, or punish them when it's not going to be okay. Because if you just give them what they want their entire life, they're going to be a ruined human being. Like, and it's just, I think it's the two other sides where it's like, oh, conservatives aren't compassionate. It's like, no, this is this can be better for you in the long run. I promise. Like,
Yeah.
just wait it
I don't,
out.
I don't think there's a single parenting book out there that would argue that tough love is not a great way to go. And that's how conservatives are. Conservatives are the tough love people.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was really interesting too when you're talking about your career in music. You said your friends were okay, like they knew your opinion, were fine about it, but you kind of had to toe a party line. I know that had to be crazy because for me, my transition into Hollywood and entertainment was through Christian films, which is a much softer segue into entertainment before I got out here.
Yeah.
So was it more for you? So your friends you said were great, which is I think is tremendous that you've gotten support like that. But was it more the frustration, towing the party line and if you did step out, kind of the repercussions from the higher ups? Was that what it was?
Um, no, like, okay, so for instance, when I first moved to LA, I was ghostwriting for an R&B and hip hop label.
Mm-hmm.
One of whom was Nas. This was in 2007. And so I was in the studio with Nas, and we didn't really talk about politics. I can only assume what his ideology is. But um, they knew where I stood, and I don't know if this is because of my personality. I tend to be kind of a mighty mouse. I make my presence known, and if you want to step up to me and have a conversation and duke it out, I'll be happy to engage. But they knew where I came from, and I think for a lot of them, it was more an issue of, you know what, I'm not going to fan that flame, and they saw me as kind of like a ticking time bomb, and so in fact, I think Nas might have been the one who started calling me Mighty Mouse. But the people who have given me the most pushback uh, are liberal friends, and I've only lost one liberal friend, and I do air quotes because she used to cut my hair, and she charged me an arm and a leg, even though she said it was like the friend rate. And she's kind of like your typical pink cat ear wearing feminist who, when she found out I was from Alabama, she was like, everybody from Alabama is racist. I'm like, that's interesting because when I moved to LA, people here are far more racist.
My hair's the guys that cut my hair said the exact same thing when I told them I'm from Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, my best friend in the world is a black liberal, and he's been my best friend since I moved to LA 11 years ago. And he and I can have conversations about left and right issues. And we're still friends, you know. I mean, we'll duke it out over it, and but we don't. He doesn't call me ignorant. I don't call him lazy, you know, anything like that. It's amicable conversation, and I find that when you're face to face with someone who has an opposing opinion, that's very often the case. You know, and I am 100% guilty of flame throwing on Twitter. I think, in fact, my last tweet this morning, just to give you an example, I'm so guilty of doing this on Twitter and on social media, and you do it online. But when you come face to face with that person on the other side, it becomes much harder to be so harsh and to call them names. So my last tweet was, liberals are like slinkies. They're utterly useless, but it's still fun to throw them down the stairs.
Huh? It's like stresses me out just thinking about it. The backlash.
Yeah. So, but people know that that's my personality. Obviously,
Right.
I wouldn't actually throw a liberal down the stairs unless they did, you know, unless they hurt me or something.
Right.
Which that would be an opportune moment if there were stairs there. But you know, I find that when you're face to face, even here in Hollywood, with all of the vitriol, with all of the, you know, left and right division, that when you're face to face with people, it's not that bad. And I think we have to have more conversations like that. We have to get out of the Bill Maher mentality and move more into the Dave Rubin mentality.
Yeah, Dave's a terrific guy. And that's what I've told people out here is they do just have this weird vision of what people are that believe differently than them. It's the racists from the Southeast. And then as soon as you individually have those relationships and feel comfortable talking about it, that's when things change. The problem is so many conservatives have been terrified of their views because they've told these views are racist, misogynist, you know, Islamophobic, whatever, that they're refusing to just talk about it. But if you do it the right way, that is the only way I feel like to move forward, having those individual conversations and relationships.
Yeah, and something that has really changed with, you know, that mentality among conservatives, being very timid about saying things for fear of being called Islamophobe, homophobe, transphobe, whatever. Whether you like him or not, that's one thing that Trump has helped a lot of conservatives. You know, he's held their hand and brought them into this age where conservatives are like, I don't care if you say that's racist. It's facts and it's statistics. You know, I said when I was on Fox and Friends yesterday morning, I gave some statistics on air, and of course I get called a racist on Twitter, and I'm like, facts and statistics by nature do not involve feelings. They cannot be racist. These are FBI crime stats from the most recent conclusive time period, 2013 to 2015. It is not racist. So that's one thing that Trump has done, is it has emboldened us to step out and be like, I don't care if you call me a racist. I know I'm not.
All right, if you like this video and others like it, please consider becoming a premium member to The Rebel. That way you'll have first access to Pure Hollywood and the entire Rebel lineup.